Hello, all you beautiful souls, and welcome to another video. And in this channel, we are talking about teleportation. We are demystifying the mystical and bringing awareness to the topic. So my name is Karin, and today I am delighted to be joined by the lovely Cristiana Durante, all the way from Italy. So Cristiana, thank you for being here, and I'm absolutely delighted to have you here.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
So, to give a quick backstory, we met recently at the lovely Andre Pennington's GLAY event, so the Global Luminary Activation Experience. And I shared that I was creating a movement on teleportation, and you straight away said, I've had many experiences. So we connected.
Not many, but yes, two very important ones.
Okay, so I thought it would be absolutely wonderful to share this with a wider audience, to open up possibilities for other people who've had this, who don't know how to talk about it, or wishing to experience this and want some advice, or whatever that looks like. So before we dive in, Cristiana, could you give me what your definition of teleportation is?
Okay, I never thought about it as teleportation until I had these shocking experiences, because my teleportation experience comes from a trauma.
Okay.
From accidents.
Yeah.
And that's how I survived. Not survived, yes, I survived. So, so it wasn't something I looked for. It wasn't something that I always thought it was possible, because I am someone that does believe in infinite possibilities. I know that is within me. So I never doubt that could be happening. At that time, many years ago, I was reading Carlos Castaneda books with Don Juan in Mexico, and his experience as an anthropologist, and he was having these kind of experiences, and I loved it. But anyway, for myself, talking about my experience has been, it has happened because of a trauma accidents.
Okay.
And so it is not something that I was looking for. That's what I would like to stress.
Okay, yes, okay, I get it. So how would you define the experience of teleportation? I mean, how do you describe what that...
Just to be saved, to save myself from a situation in which I was going to die.
Okay, interesting. So would you...
So I was able to just find myself in another place, away from that place where I could have died.
Okay, so would you see that as moving your physical body, or
no?
Do you mean, how would you explain it?
It's like quantum physics, when they say, well, in quantum physics, you look at a particle and that can move according to the, to the person that is looking. The parts move differently. For me, it was just like from here to there. There was no space in between.
Yes, yes. Collapsing.
Absolutely no space.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so let's dive into your story, if you will. So, what was going on in your life, and how did it all start?
Well, I was 21.
Okay.
I just was coming out of a party, so I had drink a little bit, and I was driving my 500 Fiat. I was 21 years old, so many years ago, and I was driving my 500 Fiat. Everybody knows how small that car is, especially now. And I went to a red light on a big intersection, and a huge car banged against me on my driving side.
Okay.
Just to tell you, after this accident, the two doors of my car were touching each other.
Okay.
So just that makes you think, how could you survive something like that? and I was out.
Okay. Watching it. So in that moment,
I was out watching it. But the thing is that I only had a scar, I guess a little memory of a little scar here, and I still have this scar.
Okay.
But the person that was driving the car and hit me, of course, traumatized himself, saw me outside, and he couldn't find peace. So he brought me to the hospital because I had a cut on my face. And you know, when you have a cut on your face, it seems like there's so much blood, and it seems like it's much worse than it is. So he brought me to the hospital, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was the plastic surgery at the hospital in Rome. The one that was doing that was a plastic surgery, miracle.
You saw that.
So he did my face perfectly.
Yeah.
And this guy kept coming and visiting me because he couldn't believe what had happened.
Yeah.
He couldn't find peace.
Yes.
And for me, well, it is pretty strong. And for me, what happens is that after that accident, I never ever felt the same. And this is what is very interesting, and I think could help some people to understand better what is teletransportation in case of a trauma. Is that your body is almost like your body disintegrates in nothing and then reconstructs itself in your shape somewhere else. But my energy and my body energy were not in the same space. It was like my body, physical body, was the same, but internally I never felt the same. It was like parts and bits and energy were not placed in the same way they were placed before. I don't really know how to explain this, but am I giving an idea?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So a very strange feeling of being in your body, being yourself, but not feeling yourself as you did before, being almost like a stranger to yourself. And my nervous system got really shaken by all of this.
Yeah, that's definitely a life-changing experience.
Oh, it was very, very strong. And it was very physical, because what I think it happens is that it's almost like your parts goes and then comes back again. So if it happens because of a trauma, there is almost like an explosion of these parts, and then they come back together in this combambulated way. And I never really thought of this until I got to start to get, I got some craniosacral therapy therapies done on me.
Okay.
At that point, like I say 7 years later, I was living in San Francisco. And there, this guy told me, I told him that I wasn't feeling well, and I always felt that I wasn't kind of together. And he started working on me, and I slowly came in touch with parts of my body. And in craniosacral and somatic emotional release, as they do it in the States, you start talking to different parts of yourself and the different organs and your cells. And what came up is that I was not placed as I was before. And so from there on, I had to start this long way back. It was really long. And I'm still, sometimes feeling those different energies. I think it was very helpful to really learn how to know myself. And so, as everything, there is always a good side, and I look at that. And from there, I really decided I wanted to become myself, to explore this craniosacral therapy. And I did study with the doctor that invented the craniosacral studies at that time, John Pledger, and he did help me to understand this even better. And so the working of the mind with the body, the reorganization of my body, of my cellular, my nervous system, and all of that was very, very the basic of my life at that point.
Yeah.
And then from there on, I became what I'm now.
Yeah.
And so it is very related to this first experience. I had another one, and it was when I was with someone, and we were I was in a very bad situation with this man, and very afraid that something would have happened. I knew that something was going to happen.
Okay.
And again, I found myself in another place.
Okay.
Again, was a shocking experience. So again, this feeling of not knowing what was going on, and then suddenly find myself in my body again, but with this sense of not really being aligned.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering, could you take us back to that moment where you're at your first experience, where you're at the crossroads and you see a car coming towards you, or
I didn't see it.
That was a question.
Because I was driving straight ahead,
Okay.
and this guy came from my left, so didn't see it coming.
So this was all happening in one instant, from the moment you got hit and the moment you were out. But how do you explain that you got this slash on your face, but you were out at the same time?
Because I'm human.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the little bit of a human side that goes, huh, you did it. You know, it's like the wind about the something.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe while I was getting out of the car, I don't know. I don't have any idea. My car was like a flat, thing.
Yeah. And so the other person in the accident, he was damaged because he was not in his. I hear that he was not in his multi-dimensional being, whereas you obviously managed to access that energy to go beyond where you were. So that's pretty awesome.
Yes, he actually, well, to make this story so interesting, nothing is, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was a Mason. And so when he came and visited me, he kept asking me if I wanted to be part of the Masonry because of what he saw. And I kept telling him that I was not interested in getting any group of people, especially at that time. I was thinking of leaving Italy already. But it wasn't just my thing. But the whole thing was so strange because he did believe that this thing could happen.
Okay.
So he did witness it in his life.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So that was all like a spontaneous experience for you. That's really amazing. And the second time, so in the first time, did you have that feeling that something could happen? As in the
No.
second experience, you were saying that you felt that feeling.
I was afraid. I was terribly. The second time, I was terribly afraid.
Okay, whereas the first time you weren't terribly afraid.
Nothing.
Okay, right.
But I was a little high.
Okay, yeah.
So much more loose in a way. When you are a little bit high, you are less, you're looser, in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. You harness the energy perfectly well anyway. And I'm hearing that it's the elevated emotion of fear that enabled you to harness that energy as well and get out of the situation that was life-threatening for you, if I'm hearing correctly.
There is one thing that I'm trying to convey into words that I would like to tell you. Since I was little, I always thought that I would get out of anything I wanted. I had this strong feeling that I could do anything. And I remember one time, this is another story. It's not about teletransportation, but it's about this feeling of being able to go past the situation, even very difficult ones. That I was going up a rock, a very steep and tall rock. And I was going up and, how do you say, climbing. And I was almost on the top, but I would say 5 to 7 meters. It's pretty high. And underneath there was a river. There was a dry river, but with all these rocks, And I felt on my back from the top like this. And I thought, nothing is going to happen to me.
Okay.
That moment, I remember that moment. And it's not that it was teletransportation. It may be, because I found myself at the bottom with not even a bruise.
Okay, interesting.
It
Very,
just came,
very inspiring.
but that feeling of being so strong and being more than something, not more than other people, because it doesn't have anything to do with other people. It's something inside. It's almost like a strength that is behind human.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, because that's really beautiful. And I'm hearing the power of intention. And we can absolutely move mountains with the power of intention. So you have this, you knew that it was
Yes.
yeah. And we don't listen to it half the time.
So nice. That's so nice of you to really put words to this.
Yeah, well, I find all this so fascinating. I mean, you can go to so many wonderful places. So if we go back to your first story, how that enabled you to get into your therapy, were you doing anything before in that department, or were you on a completely different path?
Excuse me, I lost you. In what department? What do you mean?
In your life path, what were you doing therapy of any distinction at that time, or were you?
I was pretty crazy. I always, I was almost an adolescent coming out of. I always knew and believed that there was something more since I was born.
Okay. Brilliant.
And oh man, there is so much about this. I also had a very bad accident where I had a near-death experience when I was 12. So my life at that time was consolated by this. My human life was so difficult that somehow, if I didn't have these other beliefs and faith, and that I'm really grateful I had, I would have died.
Okay.
But my willingness to live, and I'm not talking survive, I say to live, because I never felt like I wanted to survive. I felt I want to live.
Okay.
Then the feeling of being a survival comes up because I had to do so much work as a survival. But the feeling was, I want to live.
Okay, I heard what you want to live and not leave your body, but you actually left your body. Yeah, okay.
No, live life. No, I'm sorry. My English. No. I meant I want to live, not survive.
Okay. So, would you like to take us to that experience when you were 12 then? What was going on within you, and what did you experience?
That experience was an interesting one because I was at the end of my vacation in the countryside with my grandmother, and things were happening there that I had my first flirt with a guy, and my grandmother was telling my mother that she didn't want me anymore because I kissed him. And so there was all of this stuff going on, and my mother was getting married and my father was getting remarried, and I was getting step brothers and step. What a crazy moment. And I was completely abandoned because in those times, people, especially in Italy, nobody knew how to deal with that. So the best thing to do was to put me in the hotel in the college. Yeah. So and so I wasn't really consciously troubled, but there was a lot of sufferance. And I wasn't conscious, as I say, because kids at that age don't know how to verbalize things. I knew that I was very uncomfortable with life. So I ended up playing with kids and playing as to be a clown on the top of a staircase with marble staircase. And I was playing, and my cousin took the chair besides me. I was standing on the chair, and I fell down with my head, and I did all of these steps with my head, me bumping my head.
Okay.
And there I was, first in coma, and then when I got to the hospital, and I was in this very little town, so it took a long time to get me somewhere into a hospital. The doctor told my mom that I was dead, just that second. And my mother started calling me. I remember my mother saying my name, like Cristiana, Cristiana. But so I still have it in my ear, because at that point I was somewhere else. You know, all of these stories.
Yeah, because you were clinically dead at that point.
Yeah,
At that point,
you know,
according
the
to
point is the real the light, and this beautiful being that came to me and say and show me the immense love, immense. Calculate. I was 12, so there were no filters, and I was like, yes, I come with you. Fortunately, I was so happy finally to get rid of this 12 years old life. I was already ready to say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that moment. And he said, no, now you know, but you have to go back.
Okay.
Even up there, I was desperate. I said, no. And at that moment, my mother's voice started calling me, and I felt like I was, you know, sucked into my body again.
Okay. Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that for I don't know how long, because time in this space time doesn't exist really. What I remember is that as if for hours, and I bet were minutes, I couldn't see anything. Like I thought I was blind, because when I opened my eyes, I was seeing everything white. So I was saying to everybody, I'm blind, but I don't see black, I see white. And that's interesting. I don't know by now how, you know, blind people see, but definitely it was very, very bright light everywhere.
Okay.
And then after a while, I started seeing, you know, shadows, and my brain started working again. But definitely that was another experience of, you know,
Yeah.
a changing experience for sure.
Yes, going into higher states of consciousness. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there really met something different. But then coming back, in a 12 years old girl at that time in Rome, I couldn't talk to anybody about this. I actually felt like I should have shut up, and because it seemed almost crazy. I did try with someone, and they went like, no, that's impossible. People were not talking about near-death experience at that time. And so it was very difficult, because that's why I became a little crazy. I started doing a lot of bad things. I didn't know how to use this experience. So even that wasn't easy. And then I got into this other experience with my car, and it went on like that for a while. And in all of these out of body experiences, and coming back and say, I don't want to be here, and then out of body, and then coming back. And I'm very glad I'm here.
Yeah, well, so are we, and thank you for sharing that, because I feel it's very important, because actually so many people have these experiences when they're young and just don't know how to talk about it. So if we can bring awareness to that, and this is real, it actually does happen, and it's going to enable other people to express it.
And also it does require a lot of love, to especially for a child or someone so young, to be reintegrated.
Definitely
Lots of love. And if, like my family, of course, you know, they were all remarried and they're going their own way, so I was very abandoned in a college, in a school.
Yeah.
I was left alone with this, and so I started becoming with the nuns. I remember I was building traps for the nuns.
Okay, yeah.
You know, really angry. I wanted to kill them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, after that experience, I'm wondering, how are you feeling? How could you possibly go through that? Because you couldn't share it. It would create.
And going through nuns and church that tell you that you have to believe something without knowing the why, just believe it. And I had experience of the why. I could see, I knew what I knew. And so I was always a challenge for them, because I was asking questions, saying that I knew something. And so there was a lot of contrast, a lot of fights with them.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing all these experiences with us. I mean, it has so much value. So for those of our viewers, how can we use this consciously? How would you suggest we integrate these parts of ourselves that are there, that we don't always have access to, and we'd like to bring down here to give value to others and empower others to do the same?
Are you asking me how you bring back all of the parts of yourself when you get so far away and then come back? Well, if it is, see, if you look at my experience, and it's not everybody's experience, I had this experience because I had shock, traumas. Yeah. I fell from, I broke my head, I had a car accident. So if it happens this way, then I really want to share with people that have had this experience to really find a good therapist to bring intentionally, to talk to all the parts of the body and bring them back intentionally. Like leg, where are you now? If the leg can be, oh, well, I'm in 100 miles from here. Oh, let's bring it back. This can happen anyway, but energetically, when you have this kind of experience, your energy just tend to spread out everywhere. So for me, I'm talking about craniosacral, my craniosacral therapy experience at first. It was really deep, because I think as a therapy is one of the deepest I ever done, and that's why I loved it, because there is everything. There is dealing with the body, that is dealing with bones, and as you know from knees, I love dealing with bones, and it's almost, it is the anchor of our body. And craniosacral work works, the groundwork of craniosacral work are the bones.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's just to say this makes me at peace.
Well, let's make a mantra. Yeah, fantastic.
And so to bring your mind, your intention into your body, into the memory, into your bones memory, it means that really your body gets centered. That's all the work I'm doing now.
Beautiful. So
as a coach and as a therapist, the dream was to bring together the craniosacral work with my coaching, and hopefully I am doing it.
Yes, you are doing it.
Yes.
So for those who are inspired by your story and want to reach out to you, how can they contact you?
Or they can write me an email at Dream Builder Italia. It's a long one. How do you say Dream Builder Italia?
Yes,
at I forgot, at gmail.com.
Okay,
or just to go on my website, that is cristianadurante.com.
Okay, great. Well, I'll post the links around this video anyway. So, Cristiana, have you any last words to give to our viewers on the subject, this fascinating subject of out-of-body experiences and teleportation, as a conclusion?
I do. I really hope that if anybody that is listening to this interview has had any of these kind of problem and traumas, I would be more than happy to and willing to talk about this, because I don't think that is something that is well known. It took me many years to understand what was going on with me, and so it would be much better to have, to know what to do instead of going through so much pain and disorientation.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing your intimacy, so that into me I see, we get to see more of you and share more of your light. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everyone for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.
Thank you very much there.
Thank you. Much love to everybody.